I think for me, the most inspirational thing about teaching is being able to build community and critical thinkers. So that's where my heart and my passion lies, is to really get kiddos to really know themselves and understand themselves and be able to have really in-depth conversations with, like, negotiating that space in a way that still makes them really great human beings. So being able to facilitate that is what makes me want to be a great teacher. I've worked with younger kids and much older kids, so this is like the sweet spot where you still get to have the fun, the imagination, a lot of that creative piece that happens with the younger kids, and really engage with the critical thinking aspects that the older kids are really juiced about. And, you know, in conversations with Elizabeth about 4th grade, she said that 4th grade really has a strong sense of justice, and social justice issues and issues of equity are kind of my jam. It's what I invest myself in outside of school. So I'm excited to engage in conversations with them where they might be really, you know, this or that, and exploring the gray areas with them of what that looks like. I have many. One of them is my community college professor, to take things kind of off campus. My first social professor made me cry in her class, and then it was like, see me in office hours. She exposed the world to me in a way that really hit home to my personal reality, but then also forced me to take a step back and say, okay, now that you know all of this, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to make use of this energy? And so I think having that experience with her has inspired me to empower all the students that I talk to with their personal stories. Everybody's personal story is different. You learn to share and be vulnerable in your story at different points in your life. And when that kind of comes to light, it should be an empowering, beautiful process. Even if it's paired with hurt, or if it's paired with joy, it should still be equally empowering. On campus, the dynamic duo of Margie Tully and Dana Doolin, they are like so inspiring to me, because they've refined their craft, but they aren't stuck in just how refined their craft is. They continue to grow. They continue to challenge themselves and change their craft according to the time, the population, different perspectives. And every conversation I've had with them, I feel very valued. My opinion feels respected. I feel respected as a young educator, and I still take so much from it. They're still willing to share so much with me. What I love about PBS is that it challenges me. It's a space where I'd like to say that I learned, along with my students, that mistakes are okay, and mistakes are where you really grow. So it really challenges me to step outside of my comfort zone, to step into a world that I may not be familiar with, and really showcase the skill set that I have, and learn to have really reciprocal conversations with the community, with my kids, with my colleagues. It's a special place, and it constantly evolves and grows. So if, you know, we need to look into social emotional learning, we look into it as a whole, faculty and staff, wholeheartedly, and it ripples down into the students. You know, if we're noticing that we really need to extend the conversation on issues of social justice, we look at it wholeheartedly and it ripples down. And so on and so forth. And there really is a space for all the voices, and I just love that. The core values, I feel like they exist in every single moment that you are at PBS. Like, I could tell you a story about when kindergarten, when they made these incredible little like pipette tube things that they called squiddies, and they put the little fishing jelly on top, and so you'd squeeze the water bottle and the squiddy would go down, and then you let it go and the squiddy would go up. And it's a perfect display of love of learning. It's a perfect display of community, because all of the kids ended up with one, and they would just share with each other and just build a common knowledge around this thing. It's a perfect display of courage, because we had some kids that their squiddies didn't work, and you have to be courageous in your failures or your places where it's an oops, like what strategies can I bring to the table? That's what helps you get unstuck. And kindness, like if you're Buddy Squiddy didn't work. Like there was somebody who's didn't work and someone extended it over and said, you can play with mine for now. So I think to ask that question, I would have a sea of examples. And I'm just gonna leave it at the Squiddy one because then I'm just gonna keep going. There is so much time, effort, care, and love placed in developing really strong relationships with the family as a whole. So that includes the child, that includes parents, that includes whoever's picking them up, if it's grandparents or nannies. There's a really strong, loving relationship that's developed there on a day-to-day, and that allows for an openness and communication. And in that openness and communication between educator and parent, it really is a team that has one end goal in mind, and the end goal in mind is what can we do for your kiddo to have your kiddo be successful for the rest of the year. And so I think in developing strong relationships, strong authentic relationships with the family as a whole, it really opens up the space for things like gather talks to resonate. When we have parent ed that comes, like Mark Brackett, it really opens up the space to have that be inviting and not intimidating. And that also extends into whatever conferences we may have or any meetings, or when we include specialists, it clears the air and it makes it a safe space for everyone. So I think the one thing that I would inform is that PBS is a very community-oriented school. So you are going to have pockets of different communities that exist in this huge community. You have your parent, you have your student community, your teacher community, and there is a sense of like welcoming into all of these spaces, and it's like a huge bubble embrace that comes from all of them. So I've found that is unique to this school. And that is something that I think every family should know, that if and when you choose to enter this community is going to hug you right back and let you know that they're there for you. However that may look. That may look like you need more space, then you get that, but the community is still present. That may look like you want to be involved in field trips and gather talks and tours, and you get that. There's an opportunity, but the community is present.